down, the foreman had to go on board and take pictures of every room. So late one night, the foreman spends about an hour walking through this abandoned ship with a flashlight, taking about 100 pictures. When he was done, he emailed the pictures to his boss, who quickly wrote back, "Who's the guy with the axe?" The foreman had no idea what he was talking about, but he noticed the boss had attached one of the pictures that he had just sent him. When he opened it, he nearly fainted. There, in the bowels of the ship, poking his head around a corner, was a faceless man wielding an axe.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, liking the video, especially on each and every single one, man. You guys are pushing us into the algorithm, man. We're small right now, but we're going to continue to grow. One day, man, we're just going to take off. So you guys want to stay with me. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man, and seek the truth.
This is why you should never stay awake past 3 a.m. A woman in her early 20s was away from home on a business trip. The night before she was supposed to board her plane, she had trouble sleeping and had this intense fear that someone was staring at her in her room. She was up until 3, tossing and turning until she started to hear whispers. It was a deep voice repeating the words, "I'm coming to get you, I'm coming to get you." But she ignored it and eventually fell asleep. After her plane landed, she was exhausted but drove home anyway. About 30 minutes into her drive, she started hearing the same whispers from the previous night, but she thought it was because she was sleep deprived, so she kept driving. She was almost home when she began to feel sick. Her eyes were watering, her nose was running, and she let out a large sneeze. "Bless you," said the same deep, eerie voice. She quickly pulled into her driveway, hugged her husband, and sat down to tell him what was going on. When this happened,
I can still hear that voice.
So it's based off a movie. Okay. I say we heard this story before, or something. These clips they reviewed together, how saying, you know, if you wake up at around like 3 a.m., it might be because a spirit or something is watching you, and like you can feel it. That's why you're waking up. It's based off of I guess a short story or something like that, a horror story. Tap in with us. You don't know.
Hi. This will be my first TikTok in English. I don't know how this is gonna go, but there was a guy going to a party one day, but his mom was having like a bad feeling about it, and she didn't want him to go, but she said, "I'm going," and he said no, but he did. And when he was getting in the car with his friends, her mom said, "God is going with you," and one of his friends laughed and said, "Only if he's going in the trunk, like the luggage rack," and they all laughed. Later that night, they've got in a big car accident, like their car crashed, and when the police came, they were like looking in the car, and they all died. The 4 people in the car died. And when they looked in the trunk, there was an egg box, and all the eggs were like perfect still, but they all died. So yeah, God was in the trunk. What do you guys think?
That's a creepy story, man. Truly, because it's like the mom. She said I was in the trunk. And I guess she was trying to warn her son something not to go, but he still went anyways. Like how sometimes, you know, parents, they get that feeling, or they get this sense something is off. They know what's about to happen before you do. That's very eerie. What do you guys think?
This is why you should always watch what you say in public. In the late 1970s, a man began breaking into homes in order to assault the families inside of them. After dozens of attacks and no suspects in custody, the citizens were totally on edge, so the police decided to host this town hall meeting so they can discuss the situation out in public. During the meeting, a local man stands up and says, "I would totally kick that guy's ass if he came anywhere near my wife." Then, in a crazy, ironic turn of events, that angry man and his wife become the next victims. Following their assault, the attacker completely changes his behavior. He goes from kind of petty home invader to full-blown serial killer, targeting only married men and their wives. When decades later, police finally identify Joseph D'Angelo as the killer, as they're going through old photos from the case, they make a startling discovery about his motives. D'Angelo had attended that town hall meeting.
Words have power, man. That's why I always say,
This
watch
one
what
might
you
make you
say.
afraid to have a girlfriend. Haunted relationships. In 2012, a boy Nathan said his girlfriend died in a horrible car crash. They were dating for 5 years. He was struggling trying to get over it and was grieving for about 13 months when he got a Facebook message. It was from his dead girlfriend Emily. He thought it was her mom on her Facebook page, but it wasn't. A few more months, the conversations continued, and she kept making references to the past relationship that they had that only they knew about. He started getting notifications of her on Facebook of her tagged in spaces that she should have been. He knew her Facebook passwords and changed them. And the messages and tags still kept coming. She would write weird messages like she's cold, she's freezing, and that she didn't know what was going on. To this day, he doesn't know if it was some type of sick joke or really a message from the dead. Give this video a thumbs up if you want more true scary stories.
Sound like a haunted relationship, man.
This is why you should never explore abandoned ships. In 2014, the US Navy decided to decommission one of its oldest ships, so it brought it into port to be broken down for scrap. Before workers were allowed to actually start breaking it down, the foreman had to go on board and take pictures of every room. So late one night, the foreman spends about an hour walking through this abandoned ship with a flashlight, taking about 100 pictures. When he was done, he emailed the pictures to his boss, who quickly wrote back, "Who's the guy with the axe?" The foreman had no idea what he was talking about, but he noticed the boss had attached one of the pictures that he had just sent him. When he opened it, he nearly fainted. There, in the bowels of the ship, poking his head around a corner, was a faceless man wielding an axe. The foreman had spent over an hour in this hallway and never heard or saw this guy. The Navy searched the ship and never found this guy. They also reviewed security footage of the only entrance, and he never entered or left the ship.
Okay, so how the hell did he get on the ship then, man? That was like they said, that was the oldest ship in like US history, so... And nobody noticed a faceless man with an axe? People have to be more aware of their surroundings. That's actually insane, man. I definitely want to do kind of a deep dive into that and see what else we can uncover. It's crazy how someone can be in a ship that long, undetected.
This is the Dark Mirror, and it's one of the most haunted items in the world. The original owner of this mirror purchased it at a psychic fair, but immediately claimed that there was something very evil about it. So she donated it to a traveling museum for the paranormal. This museum has a whole bunch of different paranormal objects, but the Dark Mirror is by far the most horrifying. The museum actually has to keep the mirror covered and tell people that if they're going to look into it, they have to do so at their own risk. Because the people who are brave enough almost always regret it. The people who have looked into the mirror claim to feel an immediate sense of doom and depression. But for others, it was far more horrifying. Some claim to see their own facial expressions warp and twist, and others would look into it and see their own dead body. The people who hold the mirror claim to feel a strange sense of electricity. And every night, the museum workers cover up the mirror. Every morning, they find it mysteriously uncovered.
What the hell's uncovering that mirror? I'm definitely
This is why you should never buy an Alexa. In 2012, a little boy named Johnny was just chilling at home. He just came back from school, so he decided to chill on his bed. He started to scroll through Instagram, but he heard something from his closet. Johnny does have an Alexa, and when he said, "Alexa, turn off the light," she didn't turn off the light. So he knew something was off. He opened his walk-in closet to see what was going on. Then he heard the Alexa talking to herself. Alexa was apparently giving Amazon their address and personal information. 3 days later, the family was found dead.
Alexa? What the hell? That's that technology, man, trying to take over, bro. What the? Alexa talking to herself. You know how sometimes actually, man, you know how sometimes Siri be popping up on my phone sometimes. I don't be saying nothing. She just be popping up. I had to turn her off a couple of times, bro, because that was just too creepy of a coincidence to me, man. They be recording our voices. Yeah, they talking to themselves, communicating. Pay attention, seekers.
She must have been out of her head. Here it is.
This little girl could be living in your closet. Before the video starts, send this to a friend to save a friend. Also, I'm still following people back on Instagram, so go check out my Instagram after the video. This girl's name is Emily. Emily lived in a small town with her parents. She always told her family about her imaginary friend named Kelly that lived in her closet. Emily said that Kelly also sat on a chair at nighttime to watch her sleep. One night while the family was watching a horror movie on TV, the little girl said,
That looks like Kelly.
Her Her parents then asked,
who's Kelly?
The little girl then said,
the dead girl that lived in my closet.
Her dad replied, "What are you talking about, baby? There's no dead girl in there, baby. Come on now."
I'm about to check my closet.
Down by the bay, down by the bay, where the watermelon rock, If you go home, just don't get caught,
What the hell? Some creepy short
Warning,
stories.
you might not be able to sleep tonight. There's a story of a woman that they call a monster within. In 2015, a patient began to have headaches, and a doctor discovered what they thought was a brain tumor. When they removed it, it had hair, teeth, and bones. Not that bones. There you go. This fell into her brain when she was an embryo, and then it began to develop as her life went on. This condition is called teratoma, with 20,000 cases a year, and some cases even have eyes in them. Okay, that's enough internet for today.
Ooh. Body growing inside of you? And you don't even know, and they said that's like extremely rare, 20,000 cases. The human body, man. It's capable of all sorts of things, bro, that my mind could never even comprehend. Ooh. I don't even want to think about that, man. Some chills down my spine.
This is why you should always be careful what you wish for. So in 2013, a guy actually encountered a genie, and this genie gave him one wish and only one wish. This guy was named Richard, and he wished for his wife to be back with him. But what he didn't know is the genie brought back his wife with him, but she was actually still dead and a living zombie. Follow only if you can handle scary stories. If you can't, don't follow.
So we follow up on that? Get the complete ending?
Creepier pictures which have even creepier backstories. This shirt belonged to a young boy who went missing when he was a child, but 29 years later, they found this shirt underground with his body parts. Ugh. Next is this picture from one of the gas chambers during the Holocaust. If you look closely, you can see the scratch marks, and it was basically a picture taken after they were already dead, and you can see people were really trying to get out. But yeah, this one's kind of sad, but really fucking creepy.
These are real life glitches caught on camera. And yes, the photo at the end is real. So now this is the boy Tony. He's 70 and lives alone in this city. But when he saw this, he lost his pants. Now this is one picture of the 4 identical men. They're the same exact person. Now this is a glitch in the Matrix.
Hell yeah, it definitely looked like it was. Like the 4 of them coincidence back to back to back. That ain't no damn coincidence, bro. They all on the same bus. We've seen a couple of glitches in the Matrix, man. Maybe one day we should do like a whole video on it, if you guys want me to. Crazy stories,
Hold
bro.
up, we're about to get real dark real fast. There's a graveyard that floats on water called the boat graveyard. These are ships that were broken in World War II and have never been completely destroyed. Some say there's still bodies that float on the water. They keep parts of the boat lying around the area. There's no way to actually see what's inside. Apparently, if you walk around, you'll see ghosts and spirits moving around the place. Everything was fine until we saw someone moving around inside this building.
They went inside there? They different. They actually go inside that building. They said the ghost of the New York bodies. First time hearing about it. Like I said, those people, I don't know how they can do that, man. They brave going into, you know, thinking, I call that like not even haunted, but just like bad energy areas, man. That's just something I don't even want to be around. They're risking it, man, just to find the truth, man. They seekers like us. Crazy to think about, man. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, hit that like button, man. Subscribe, comment down below, like even this for you guys, just to say hi, man, because it just helps us in the algorithm. So I really appreciate the support. Guys, I'm catching the next one, man. Like I said, we're doing these daily upload. Next month we might switch it up, but we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to grind and get better each and every single day. I believe in the seekers, man. We're going to grow into something special. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, and hitting the like button on each and every video. You guys don't know how much you guys are helping out the channel just grow by just doing those 3 simple steps. I really appreciate it, man. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers, man. Let's seek the truth.
A lot of people were using bath salts as a drug to get high. Basically, the bath salt would make you hallucinate. So in 2009 in Miami, Florida, Rudy Eugene was apparently high on bath salts. He walked into a busy crowd, took off all his clothes, then walked over to where a homeless man was staying, Ronald Popo, 65 years old at the time, and started eating his face off. Yes, eating his face, his nose, his eyes, his mouth. He even tried taking off all his clothes. When witnesses saw what happened, they called police, and police got over 5 calls of this. When police showed up, they told Rudy to stop doing what he was doing, and apparently Rudy was growling at them. He said it was like he didn't understand what they were saying. And that went on for 18 minutes before they decided to shoot him dead. And look how this poor man turned out after. That's a horrible crime.
Imagine you break it.
Man, that's why I always stay away from stuff like that, seekers, man, because you take something like that, man, it can literally change you. It can literally turn you into a damn like demon, bro. So what he did to his face? And like they said, when the police came, they said he couldn't even understand what they were saying. It was just like all delirious or something. I'm just like, just stay away from that in general, seekers. It's my best advice to you guys. It's a crazy ass story.
Into your ex-lover's house and brutally murder his new wife in a fit of jealous rage. You also happen to be a young police officer at the time, and you stage the crime scene to look like a robbery, and that's just what police deem it at the time. And over the next 23 years, you work your way up the police department and become a detective that specializes in stolen art cases, which apparently the issue of stolen art rampant enough to require its own special unit. Now, over the span of time that you got on with your life and swept that murder under the rug, DNA testing got real good, and your Van Gogh sniffing ass is about to have that nice cushy lifestyle turned right the upside down. In 2009, police just decided, hey, let's test the bite mark left on Sherry Rasmussen's arm. The DNA came back as female. They were like, female burglars? That's not a thing. They decided to pursue the theory that the Rasmussens had suspected the whole time that Stephanie Lazarus was the killer. So the cops just went into the office, pulled a discarded cup out of the garbage that Stephanie was drinking. When they swabbed it, it was a perfect match. Stephanie's own colleagues brought her in for questioning, and that's where shit gets spicy. 23 years after Stephanie Lazarus murdered Sherry Rasmussen, the wife of a man that Stephanie used to date, she's brought in for questioning. Sherry and her husband John's families had long suspected that Stephanie was the killer, even though cops suspected it was a robbery. They had even told police that Stephanie would stalk John and Sherry and go by their house and even Sherry's place of work, telling Sherry that if she couldn't have John, then no one could. Police now had the DNA evidence to prove that Stephanie was the person who broke in, smashed a vase over Sherry's head, brutally beat her in the face with the butt of her gun, left a bite mark on her arm, and shot her 3 times. Police just went up to Stephanie in the office one day and were just like, hey, this'll just take a second. We just want to talk to you about a stolen art case. They weren't there to talk about no art. They were like, hey, did you know somebody named John Rutten? What went down next is one of the most enjoyable dismantlings of someone's aura of invincibility that you could ever hope to see. And as they suck her back into that time period, the screws that held Stephanie's face in a normal-looking position for 23 years start to loosen. Best part is they tell her she's free to go, and she goes out into the hallway, and they handcuff her and arrest her right there. You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
I'm Kevin.
Goes to show you, man, whatever negative or energy or something you put out in the universe, you did something that bad and horrifying, you think you got away with it, it's gonna come around and get you, man. And it might take a month, it could take a couple of days, it might take years, but at the end of the day, it's gonna come back, man. The thing is, like, she got away with that for that many years, bro, but she left so much evidence. And she was like one of the suspects, and they just didn't even care to look at her. She thought she was probably going to get away with it too. No, the energy you put out was going to come back.
This is Woman Murder. May of 1999, a 14-year-old girl made her way to a Hong Kong police station. Officer, she was being haunted by the ghost of a woman who had been bound by electrical wire and tortured to death. They brushed her off until she explained that she had a hand in her murder. They followed her back to her flat and found this. oversized Hello Kitty doll with the decapitated skull of a woman inside it. The head of Fan Man Yi. Fan's life was tragic before this event took place. After being abandoned by her family as a child, she was raised in a girls' home. She developed a drug addiction and was turning to prostitution to pay for her drug habit. In early 1997, Fan met Chan Man Lok, a 34-year-old pimp and drug dealer. Later in 1997, desperate for money and drugs, Fan Man Yi stole Man Lok's wallet and attempted to make off with $4,000. As soon as he saw it was gone, he had 2 other men kidnap her. Earning the money back wasn't enough for them. He began torturing her for over a month. Tied her up and beat her, burned her skin, raped her, and forced her to eat human feces. When she died, they cut up her body in a bathtub with a saw. The 14-year-old girl participated in the murder but was granted immunity for giving the details. The 3 were sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole.
She was that young and she participated in it. What does the world come to, man?
Hey guys, I'm back. So let me tell you in 60 seconds why these 2 chicks are serious sociopaths.
Okay.
On July 5th, 2012, Skylar Yee's 16-year-old girl snuck out of her house. The next morning, her dad went into her room and realized she never came home. Skylar's best friend Sheila comes to the house and tells her parents they snuck out to smoke some weed, but she dropped her off shortly before midnight. She also says their friend Rachel was with them. She then helps her parents search the neighborhood. The entire community begins searching for Skylar. After 2 months, Skylar still isn't found and the FBI gets involved. And they start questioning her schoolmates and her friends. The friend Rachel, who was with them that night, has a panic attack. She goes to police and confesses everything. She tells police that she and Sheila had planned Skylar's murder for literally months.
Whoa.
They convinced her to sneak out that night, and then they stabbed her over 50 times. They had 0 remorse, and posted things like this on social. I mean, are you even serious?
Dedication right there goes to show, man, how your friends, sometimes they truly aren't your friends, bro. You saw all the listening reasons. Like, they planned the whole thing and they so young, man. What is it up with these young people we keep seeing? It's like participating in these things. You have to be better, man. The whole world. That's insane.
The lie this woman told will make you sick.
Her name is Alicia Head, and she claimed to have been a survivor of the World Trade Center attack in 2001.
Come on,
she
man.
claimed she had narrowly survived the collapse of the South Tower, whilst her fiancé had perished in the North Tower. She would then go on to become president of the World Trade Center's Survivors Network Support Group. She would help get grants for other fellow survivors. But there was one big problem with all of this. Alicia was never at the World Trade Centers. She was exposed for having been at university in the native city of Barcelona. After being exposed, Alicia fled New York. For more 7 sins, remember to hit the plus button.
How did they even get that far?
True Swine, where I tell you how true crime has made me hate the cops even more. You don't need to know my name, it's not important, but you do need to know the name Jacob Wetterling. Jacob Wetterling went missing on October 22nd, 1989 when he was 11 years old. He and his friends were on the way to the store and they got approached by a man in a mask and he was abducted. The police didn't interview neighbors or witnesses for at least a few days afterwards, which is critical in a missing children's case. The children who were with Jacob when he went missing, their statements were discounted completely by the police because they were children. Instead of doing actual investigating, they spent the budget on mediums and psychics to see if they could find where Jacob was. His case garnered national coverage. His mom, Patty, and her activism is the reason why we have the sex offender registry as we know it. After harassing the man who owned the property where Jacob went missing for decades, this man came forward and admitted it. This predator's name is Danny James Heinrich. He had previous offenses against children in 87, 88, and in January of the same year that Jacob Wetterling went missing. The cops even had his DNA and he was a suspect in the Jacob Wetterling case, but he was written off for some reason. In 2016, he was arrested on child porn charges. As part of his plea bargain, he admitted murdering Jacob.
This fried chicken salesman almost caught one of the biggest serial killers in history by making a movie about him.
What?
This is the story of Tom Hansen, Zodiac Killer Hunter. In the early 1970s, the biggest story in the country was about how the Zodiac Killer, a hooded serial killer terrorizing the Bay Area in California, had murdered 5 confirmed victims. Despite the fact that the Zodiac had left several clues about his identity, police couldn't catch him. However, Tom Hansen, a businessman in San Francisco who owned several chains of fried chicken and pizza fast food restaurants, had an idea. The way he figured it, the Zodiac Killer was so full of himself that if somebody made a movie about him and did a fancy premiere for it, the real killer wouldn't be able to resist coming to the theater to see it. He planned to make the world's first movie about the Zodiac Killer so he could lure the real Zodiac Killer into a movie theater and then capture him. Hansen shot the movie in a couple of weeks in 1971 on a $13,000 budget. He couldn't get any studios to buy the film, so he paid to have the movie screened at the RKO Theater in San Francisco by himself. So did the plan work? And was the movie any good? There's still a lot more to the story, so like and follow for part 2. On self-destruct.
Wow. concerned citizen, man, actually was trying to do something, bro. I gotta figure out. We're gonna have to try to find a part 2 to see if that actually worked. Think about it, it was a good idea. I wonder if it actually like drew him out. He made a whole movie about it, and why didn't none of the studios want to pick it up, man? That's what good call trying to lure him out, and none of the studios did. You put the Thanos, fine. I'll do it myself. What the hell? Comment down below if you guys want me to find part 2 to that.
In Crimes, this is about the Trump family, and Strange doesn't even begin to describe this. Okay, so this is the Trump family. And on the 30th of August in 2016, police arrived at their home. No one was there, the doors were unlocked, one car was missing, all the other cars had the keys in the ignition. All their passports, phones and bank cards were still inside on the table with a pile of financial and business information. But by now the Trumps were hundreds of kilometers away. So Mark Trump, who was 51, Jacoba Trump, who was 53, Brianna Trump, who was 29, and Alla and Mitchell Trump, who were 22 and 25. And over the next 5 days, they were all located across New South Wales and Victoria. So for some reason, Mitch abandoned them all and started heading home. The two sisters stole a car and then went their separate ways. Then one sister snuck into the back of a truck and was found in a catatonic-like state. Jacoba was found in Yass and admitted to hospital. Mark was found in Wangaratta. And to this day, nobody knows why they did it or what happened. Hey guys, so a few people had similar comments about wanting a part 2 on theories about what happened to the Trump family, so I'm going to go through the most popular ones now. So there was a popular theory that because they owned a cherry farm, that people believed maybe the pesticides or chemicals they were using on the farm caused them all to fall mentally ill. Also widely believed that they shared a psychotic experience. There is a French name for the term, which I'm not sure how to pronounce, I'll put it up here, but refers to madness of two, which can sometimes happen in close-knit families or groups. That's another theory. There's another theory that it was a money hoax to make money from media deals. There's theories that there was no psychosis and that there was someone actually out to get the family. Some people believe it's also to do with aliens. I even read a theory about eating moldy bread, which can cause psychotic episodes. I think it was shared psychosis and not just the father. The sisters were acting strangely, so was the mother, so...
Hi, I'm Cam, this is...
The Trump family. That wasn't the family I was expecting. Like, you know, when we heard that name, the Trump family, used to go a whole completely different family. But look what happened to them. All those theories about what they all went different separate places. What theories do you guys believe, man? I guess I'm going with what he said, the psychosis. What happened to him? But the Trump family, though. That's really, really, like, odd and eerie, bro. You know.
This woman murder. Kim Edwards was what seemed like a regular 14-year-old girl. She lived with her mother Elizabeth and younger sister Katie in Lincolnshire, England. Kim's mother hid Elizabeth during an argument, but immediately called social services on herself. Kim and her younger sister were taken away temporarily. However, after they returned, Kim and her mother's relationship began to dissolve further. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and Katie grew extremely close. Kim was very jealous of this. At one point, Kim left a suicide note. Elizabeth discovered it and brought her daughter to a psychiatrist so she could get the help she needed. The psychiatrist found no signs of mental illness. Things grew worse when Kim started dating Lucas Markham, who she met while he threw a desk across the room in a rage at school. Elizabeth banned her daughter from seeing him. Lucas's solution was to kill her mother. On April 13th, 2016 at midnight, Lucas walked into the Edwards home and stabbed Elizabeth in the neck. He suffocated her with a pillow while continuing to stab her to death. Kim had planned on killing her little sister as well, but panicked and couldn't do it, so she told Lucas to. He killed the 13-year-old Katie the same way he killed her mother. After the killings, the couple washed off, had sex, ate ice cream, and watched Twilight. Police broke in and said, "What's going on?" Lucas said, "Why don't you go and have a look?"
58% of convicted murderers are men, which, like, that. But then when you really think about it, it's like, why? Women have way more reason to murder. Most people would say, well, it's just because men are more murdering. But I think something else is going on. I think women are murdering all over the ding-dang place, but we're just not getting caught, because we're better at it, like we are mostly. First of all, bitches are stealthy. We're hiding blood all the time anyway. And then our periods. Second of all, no one suspects us. Who? Me? I'm too busy doing my makeup and being confused by math to do a murder. Can we just make it look like a cute little accident, and then we plan a gorgeous wake, and then we move on with our lives, and we look fabulous doing it? Okay then, Caitlin, so if women are doing all these murders, where are all these missing dead men? You think they're missed? That's hilarious. They're not.
This is one of the...
Whoa. Well, she just put on my mind, man. It's starting to make me question, like, who gets away with it more, do you guys think? Man or woman when it comes to, I guess, things of that nature? She said women do it because they more smarter and not trying to get caught by doing things like that. That's something to think about, man. Something to leave your mind to ponder about.
The UK's oldest unsolved murders. In 1866, in Perthshire, Scotland, 55-year-old Janet Rogers was found dead. In March 1866, Janet Rogers came to her brother's house on Mount Stewart Farm. She was there to help her brother William while he looked for a new housemaid. 3 days later, Mr. Henderson found his sister dead on the floor of his farmhouse kitchen. She had been clubbed to death with an axe. The police put out a £100 reward to find the killer. That's almost £12,000 in today's currency. This worked at attracting publicity to the case, but it may have hindered police efforts as floods of reports came in. The police eventually charged the previous ploughman of the farm, James Crichton, with Mrs. Rogers' murder. However, after a 2-day trial, the jury returned with a verdict of not proven, which basically means there wasn't enough evidence. The murder had a lasting effect on Janet's brother William. Descending into insanity, he was committed to a mental asylum where he spent the rest of his days.
Crazy, man. The case affected him that much, man. That different people, man, they go through different experiences. It forever changes them. Look what happened at the end result. Lady, like, it broke his mind. As I said, people don't know how much, like, another person's actions could affect a whole person's, like, trajectory of life. Something to think about, seekers. That's it for this video for you guys today, man. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit this like button, man. Subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man. Like I said, guys, we're growing our community of seekers, man. I truly believe we can go to something big, but I just need you guys' help. Just follow those 3 simple steps. Also, don't forget to follow me on my social medias down below, so we always stay connected as a community. Guys, can catch you in the next one, man. We're grinding. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button on each and every video I drop. You guys are helping us push us into the algorithm, man, so I really appreciate it. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth. A man shot his wife.
And they were both found dead. She must have been out of her head.
Oh my god, this is literally the dumbest man on earth. Hi, my name is Ethan, and here's everything you need to know in under 1 minute. On June 26, 2023, Patrick Profright and his wife were having an argument. Now, they had just had a baby that was only 3 weeks old, so the argument was early in the morning, which is understandable because they are suffering from lack of sleep and just a whole new adjustment. While Patrick's wife was holding the baby, Patrick entered the room holding a crossbow. The mood immediately shifted, and trigger warning, it's about to get dark. He allegedly raised the bow and shot at his wife. When he did, it accidentally hit his 3-week-old baby and his wife. He then pulled the arrow out of his wife and begged her not to call 911, but when she did regardless, he fled the scene. Thankfully, he was found and arrested and charged with 2nd-degree murder and attempted, and his wife was okay. Unfortunately, the baby did pass away.
29-year-old April Holt was found deceased in her home.
What happened?
Her name is April Lynn Holt. On July 28th, she woke up, drank her coffee, journaled as usual, enjoying her peaceful morning, hugged and kissed her 7-year-old son Denzel. Then her and her husband then went into the bathroom and began to argue and fight. My 7-year-old grandson put his ear to the door and heard his parents fighting, and he looked underneath to see both of their feet. He then listened some more, but he couldn't understand what they were saying, and so he looked back under the door again, where he saw my daughter laying on the ground. He then ran to his room. His dad shortly after came into his room, and he got him dressed, and he fed him. And he then had him go check on his mom. He asked him to go check on his mom, and when she unlocked the door by himself and saw his mom,
death is accused of killing his lover. Daniel Sancho Roncallo is a 29-year-old celebrity cook and the son of 2 Spanish film stars.
Okay.
44-year-old Colombian plastic surgeon Edwin Artiga had apparently been dating Daniel. However, it's thought that when Daniel tried to break up the relationship, things took a dark turn. Daniel claims that Edwin threatened to release intimate photos of him in retaliation.
Blackmail.
Daniel states that Edwin was so obsessed with him that it ruined his relationship with his girlfriend. It's alleged that Daniel was really worried with the impact that leaked photos would have on his family's reputation. He was allegedly so worried that he would go on to kill Edwin. Now, the pair were actually in Thailand at the time and were at a full moon party when Edwin was brutally killed. Edwin's body parts, including hips and thighs, were found by locals in plastic bags at a landfill site. Authorities claim that Daniel has admitted to the killing and dismembering. Daniel has denied that the murder was premeditated, but Thai authorities state that it was. CCTV images allegedly show Daniel buying a knife, cleaning products, and gloves prior to the murder. He currently faces the death penalty if found guilty. They found 7.
I guess that just goes to show you, man, if somebody just wants to end it, the relationship amicably, just end it. Don't try to drag it on. Don't try to force that person to stay in there because it can take a really dark turn. Tap in with us. You're gonna learn.
Bodies on a property while searching for 2 missing teens. Authorities say the 2 missing teens went to spend the night at the suspect's home on Saturday as they were friends with his daughters. However, when the girls never returned home on Sunday, their parents issued a missing persons report. After the missing persons report was issued, authorities say they were seen driving with the suspect in his pickup truck around 1:30 a.m. on Monday. The suspect, McFadden, is also a registered SA offender and was set to appear in court on Monday on charges unrelated to the 2 girls. He did not appear, and it was at that time a bench warrant was issued. When authorities arrived at his home around 3 p.m. on Monday, that is when they made the discovery of all 7 bodies. At this time, they've only identified 3 of the 7 bodies, 2 of which are the missing teen girls and 1 which is the suspect, McFadden. Additionally, on Monday, they said that he was also texting the person who he was supposed to appear in court on charges related to. Here's what those text messages said. Quote, "I did exactly what I promised I would do when I got out. I got a marketing job, great money, and was being advanced. Been there 2 years now and made great life like I promised I would do with you." He continues by saying, quote, "Now it's all gone. I told you I wouldn't go back. This is all on you for continuing this." At this time, police have not provided any further details, but I'll keep you guys updated.
What?
What do you guys think? Drop in the comments.
How you try to blame it on a
A wedding in
person?
Iraq has turned into total devastation after 119 of the guests were killed after the venue caught fire. Even more horrific is the fact that 27 of those people were under the age of 12. The tragedy took place this past Tuesday when 1,000 of the wedding guests were watching the bride and groom do the traditional first dance.
Okay.
To make the moment more special, the venue lit off these 4 giant sparklers, which caught the chandelier above on fire. Please be warned, the video I'm about to show is hard to watch.
This is all before I guess it takes
So
place.
the sparklers go off, and it caught the chandelier on fire.
Ooh.
And to make this even more frightening, once the building caught fire, the lights went out. Without being able to see, having 0 emergency exit, and there was no sprinkler system, people were unable to find their way to the main entrance. It took just minutes for the entire building to be engulfed in flames. Unbeknownst to anyone at the time, the walls of this building were made of the very flammable polyethylene. Prime Minister Sudani went to visit the more than 80 people still in the hospital. He also said that 12 people have been life-flighted to other countries to their burn unit. Authorities are holding the owner of the building, his 2 business partners, and the mayor accountable for this horrific tragedy. It recently came out that all of them were aware of the fact that this building did not meet the fire safety regulations. The Prime Minister has also said that people will be held accountable and the victims will receive compensation. Fortunately, the bride and groom both survived, and of course this tragedy was not their fault, but they said they feel so much shame over what has happened, they're going to leave the town.
Imagine that happening, man, secrets to you guys. Like, on your wedding, that's supposed to mean the most, like, happiest day of your life, and it just turns into a tragedy. All because, like I said, some people, they wanted trying to cut corners on costs on that building. They knew it wasn't up to code or they did it wrong, but they still just let it stand up and let somebody have a wedding there knowing that that building was up to code. People, man, like I said, with money get involved, and anything that y'all save money to hoard it, they'll do anything. What he see?
What if it happened to you on a different day, on a bridge where there wasn't a railing away, or a neighborhood street?
A man is charged with murder after joking that his ex would end up like Gabby Petito. 26-year-old Madeline Kingsbury from Minnesota was found dead in June. She was a mother of 2 and dropped her children off at daycare on March the 31st, shortly before going missing under suspicious circumstances. She was tragically discovered dead on June the 7th in a wooded area in Fillmore County. At the time she went missing, her ex-boyfriend, 29-year-old Adam Fravel, denied any involvement. He stated, "I want the mother of my 5-year-old and 2-year-old to be found and brought home safely. I want that more than anything." However, behind the scenes, things had not been as they seemed. The pair were newly separated and were in the process of moving out of their home together. They had apparently had an on-off relationship. Madeline's body was discovered near a rural property owned by Adam's parents. She was wrapped in a grey fitted sheet, which had apparently come from the home that they shared together. He was arrested the same day that Madeline's remains were found. When being arrested by police, Adam unnervingly mentioned Gabby Petito multiple times. Police state that he admitted to being infatuated with the Gabby Petito case. He also admitted that he made a statement to Madeline about her ending up like Gabby.
Science.
For those that don't know the Gabby Petito case, she was a 22-year-old girl who was strangled to death by her fiancé back in 2021. Police state that Adam claimed he was trying to make a joke.
Nah.
Texts were also found between the pair in 2021, and in one text, Madeline references a physical altercation they had. She wrote, "You know I'm not really okay with or over the fact that you put your hand around my neck and pushed me down in front of the kids earlier." Adam is charged with her murder and could face life in prison.
So this guy, this serial killer who I'd never heard of, killed a lot of people. Just a few days ago, this dude decides, hey, you know what would be a great idea is making inappropriate comments about my cellmate's children. Now, the cellmate happened to be a convicted murderer. I know what you're thinking. That's a recipe for some swift fucking justice, and you'd be right. So what this guy Billy Shamirmir would do was he would break into these senior living homes, or he would just knock on these old women's doors at their houses and be like, hey, maintenance. And once he was inside, it would always be the same. He would put a pillow over their face until they weren't breathing anymore. And why? What was the motive in all this? He just wanted their jewelry. He just wanted their belongings. 7 of 91-year-old Mary Bartell's neighbors had turned up dead in their retirement home before Mary got a knock on her door, but there was no concern in the air because all the deaths were just ruled natural causes. He told her, just go to bed, don't fight me, and then he forced that pillow over her face. But this time things went a little different. He left thinking he finished what he came to do, but Mary woke up and told the cops what happened, which prompted the police to start looking at these deaths. Now as they're investigating this and they start to see a pattern, things going missing from the building, all that, they also find that a vehicle has been flagged across multiple senior living homes as being a suspicious vehicle. They look at the license plate on the vehicle and it leads them to Shamirmir's apartment, where they find Shamirmir literally with jewelry in his hands in the parking lot of his building, having just disposed of a jewelry box. A jewelry box of another 81-year-old woman who, when they go to her house, find her deceased with a lipstick-stained pillow by her side. Now, he had done this to 22 women over a 2-year period, and what also probably made it easier for this guy is he was actually a former at-home carry. So anyway, Shamirmir just earlier this week makes those inappropriate comments about his cellmate's children. Well, that of course turned out to be a fatal mistake, and Shamirmir was dragged out into the hallway and had a beating and a pen stabbing laid on him for the tiny window of 15 to 20 minutes before anybody working there did anything.
Tiny window? 15 to 20 minutes? That ain't no tiny window, man. That's just, I guess, man, as people, they all just ain't trying to get involved. That's like, that's like energy coming right back at you, man. That's why I've been saying these past couple of videos. You do something wicked or something like that, the energy's gonna come back to you. A month, late, years, couple of weeks from now, it's always gonna get back to you, man.
This social media influencer was murdered by her husband.
and it's the perfect example of why you should not believe everything you see on social media.
Tell us about it.
Alexis Sharkey was born in Pennsylvania. She was described as one of those people that just literally lit up the room when she walked in. She was kind, she was smart, she was funny, and she just wanted to see other people smile. As you can see, Alexis was incredibly beautiful, so it's not surprising that she built a following on social media. Alexis would eventually meet and marry a man named Tom Sharkey. From the outside looking in, it seemed like their relationship was absolutely perfect and beautiful. Alexis would often share photos of their adventures together, and they just seemed to be very much in love and like they had the perfect life. But on a girls' weekend getaway trip, Alexis started opening up to her friends, saying that she was actually scared of Tom. She started telling them that she was the victim of DV and that Tom was very violent with her. And things would get even worse from here. On November 22nd of 2020, Alexis shared some photos to social media, and this was the last time she would ever post. On the 25th, Alexis called her mother and they started making plans for their Christmas trip. That would be the last time that Alexis would speak with anybody outside of Tom. November 26th of 2020 was Thanksgiving. Tom says that he and Alexis had Thanksgiving lunch together, and that was one of the last times that he saw her. By November 27th, Tom was reaching out to friends and family asking if anyone had seen Alexis because he hadn't. Tom would go on to tell police that Alexis had been intoxicated and he had asked her not to leave, but she did anyway, and then he didn't see her again. And on November 28th of 2020, there was a body found pretty close to the apartments that Tom and Alexis lived in. The body that was found was completely nude, and police believe that this body was dumped in the location because the bottom of her feet were completely clean. So it's not like she walked there. Tom would go to the coroner's office later in that day and identify his wife. It was, in fact, Alexis. And at first it seemed like maybe Tom was just a grieving husband, but soon his behavior changed dramatically. Instead of helping Alexis's family plan for her funeral, he refused to help at all. In fact, it got to the point where he was taken off as next of kin, and Alexis's mother was actually put on as next of kin. I'll get into more in part 2. Give me a couple of minutes to film it and get it up. It'll be down in the comments.
All the signs were there.
For this case, as it is very upsetting. 37-year-old Nancy Johnson from Alabama and her children were found deceased on the 28th of September. The mother of two drowned her children in the bath before taking her own life. Her children were 2-year-old Jacob and 5-year-old Maya. She also allegedly cut her daughter's throat. She then is believed to have unalived herself with a silk belt in a hallway wardrobe. The children's autopsies showed that they died from drowning, but Maya's blood loss contributed to her death. Heartbreakingly, the children's dad, Derek, was actually the one that found them. He found the bodies of the children on a sofa underneath a blanket. Nancy and Derek were in the middle of divorce proceedings and a custody battle. Nancy also had a history of mental illness. The parents had been ordered by a judge to start seeing the children on alternate weeks. The arrangement was due to start in just a matter of days. The dad wrote, "The amount of happiness and love that emanated from Mia and Jacob was very apparent to all that they were around. Our house was filled with joy and happiness. Their future was so bright in every way possible."
Celebrities that disappeared and...
It's crazy, man. It's like every single time when I hear something about like these divorce cases and stuff like that, it just like it always takes an ugly turn, man, when the kids are involved, because one parent wants to have the kid, the other one, and they can't just agree to it. It always takes like a dark turn. We need to pay more attention to cases like that.
were never found.
Ooh.
Bison Dele played in the NBA for 8 years and even won a championship with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in 1997. In 1999, he abruptly retired from basketball at the age of 30, walking away from a 5-year, $36 million contract.
Damn.
On July 6, 2002, Dele, his older brother Miles Dayboard, his girlfriend Serena Carla, and skipper Bertrand Saldo left Tahiti on Dele's catamaran. Only Dayboard was seen or heard from after July 8th. 2 months later, Dayboard was caught in Phoenix trying to buy $150,000 worth of gold using his brother's name, but he was not arrested. Dele's boat was eventually located in Tahiti, riddled with bullet holes that had been patched up. Debord was suspected of killing all three and dumping them overboard, but he took his life via an insulin overdose in September 2002. Before he could be charged with anything, the bodies of Dele, Carla, and Saldo have never been found.
You guys think about that case, man. It goes to show you gotta watch everybody around you, man. Doesn't matter, friend, family, anybody. Edit. We've seen this before, see this.
This is Funky Town, one of the worst cartel execution videos explained. Okay, before I begin, this is a massive trigger warning. The video begins in some sort of room and there is music playing. The first song that plays is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, and the camera pans to the victim tied on the floor with some plastic wire, but the torture already began before the video starts. Because the victim looks like he already went through complete brutality. His hands have already been cut off and his face has been completely flayed, which means skinned. There is no skin on the victim's face at all, and his eyes have been gouged out.
Damn.
And there's an insane amount of blood on the floor. But the most messed up part is about this is that the victim is hooked up to some sort of IV, and the IV is pumping him with drugs to keep him alive and aware, making sure he felt everything happening to him. At the start of the video, they try and slit his throat with a sickle and press it against his jaw. But when the victim begins to scream, they shove a box cutter in his mouth to shut him up. His screams are absolutely gut-turning. They kept going from screaming to gurgling, from screaming to gurgling. And as the video progresses, they take the box cutter and slit his throat about 40 times. And keep in mind, the victim is still alive and aware of everything because of the drugs they are giving him to keep him alive. Also, the killers are mocking and laughing at the victim the entire time. They continue to try and slit his throat with the box cutter and were going at his neck numerous times, all while the song Funky Town was playing in the background, hence the name of the video. The killers kept having to physically restrain the victim, meaning there was still a lot of life left in him, and the amount of pain he had to be in is completely unimaginable. At one point in the video, a man had his foot on his chest holding him down, and another time they had shoved a pole in his mouth holding him in place. But the worst part about the video is towards the end, where the victim manages to loosen his arms from the restraints and immediately tries to touch his face. But remember, the victim has no face at all, no hands, and no eyes. But instinctively, the victim still tries to touch his face.
Phantom names?
It's absolutely horrifying, and the video then concludes. Keep in mind, the victim was still alive when the video ended, so who knows what else they did to him before he died. Because they were literally keeping him alive just to torture him. This victim went through so much pain and torment, and you can make an argument that nobody has ever been tortured as bad as this guy ever. I explain this based off pure memory from the first time I saw the video, because I won't dare watch it again because it's that gruesome. Everybody who saw videos like this always say Funky Town is the worst of the worst. And I honestly think that might be true, so please don't watch it and please don't search it up.
I won't.
This is probably one of the worst true crime cases that I've ever heard of. In August of 2019, David Sumney brutally beat his mom to death and then took 277 photos on his cell phone of the gruesome crime scene. The photos included selfies with her body, posing with blood smeared on his face, and even a photo of him giving a thumbs up. After he brutally killed her, he put her body in the bathtub and proceeded to record himself washing off her corpse. When the family couldn't get a hold of 67-year-old Margaret Sumney on August 31st, 2019, they knew something was wrong. After trying for 2 days with no success, they had the police conduct a welfare check at her Pennsylvania home. When authorities couldn't reach Margaret, they forcibly entered the home where they discovered shattered glass everywhere and blood smeared on the walls and furniture. Upon investigating, they then found Margaret's badly beaten body in her bathtub. According to the autopsy report, she died from blunt force trauma to the head, neck, and torso. When interviewed by authorities, David initially stated he had nothing to do with his mom's murder. But when police searched his phone, they found the 277 gruesome photos.
4K.
Along with that, authorities also found Margaret's jewelry and 3 of her blank checks inside of a hotel room where David had been staying. David was arrested on September 4th, and during his trial, a defense expert stated that at the time of the murder, he had taken a high dosage of Adderall, which caused diminished mental capacity. His lawyer argued that the murder was strictly due to drug and alcohol use. David was initially facing a first-degree murder charge as well as abuse of a corpse, and if he was charged with that, he would have faced life in prison without parole. But unfortunately, he was allowed to enter a guilty plea, which dropped both of those charges, and instead he pleaded guilty to third-degree murder. He was sentenced to 20 to 40 years in prison, but since he's been behind bars since his arrest in 2019, he could potentially be released in just 17 years. And the scary part is that according to prison employees, they consider David a model prisoner who attends Bible studies with other inmates. And this makes the reality of him being released so soon a real possibility. It should be noted though that David had been arrested twice in the past for assaulting his mother and once for attacking his now deceased father. Adding to this, he also faces a pending case for allegedly waterboarding and strangling an ex-girlfriend, which also took place the year of the murder. David Sumney is a terrifying man, and the fact that he could ever be released back into society is a terrifying thing.
Hit the nail on the head. All the patterns are right there. And it's like people, they just continue to ignore that. What she said at the end, man, she was right. Like, that's terrifying, man, how somebody like that can be let back into society all because they're just showing, like, good behavior. Now, after the fact that they did that horrific act. And like I said previously, man, friends, families, nowadays, man, sorry, and especially in the state of the world, doesn't matter. You gotta watch your back with everybody. That's just a plain fact right there, seekers. If you guys made it with me to the end, man, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, hit that post notification bell. Also, man, you can follow me on my social medias. Links are in the description so we always can stay connected together as a community, seekers. Guys, can catch you in the next videos. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.